COVID-19 or reserve online. PatriotAlaskaCruise.com.
Hey, welcome in. Glad to have you with us here, Wednesday edition Bruce Hooley Show. We're in commercial. We're going to get started right now. Welcome in to a Wednesday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. Glad to have you along. Just FYI, inside the house, Jeff, I don't hear anything in my headphones, so I don't know what's going on, if I got the wrong button pressed or whatever, but we're glad to have you with us, and we appreciate you joining us today. Unfortunately, I don't have very good news for you at the top of the show, because what I have, hold on one second, Jeff, I think I figured it out. I don't have very good news for you at the top of the show today, and the news that I have for you that is not good we will discuss with Gary Click, state representative who is the driving force behind, along with Jenna Powell, the SAFE Act, which prohibits transgender surgeries for minors and blocks doctors from prescribing puberty blockers for minors. That law, which was scheduled to go into effect 1 week from today, now will not go into effect 1 week from today because of an activist judge. And I wish I could tell you that it was a Democratic activist judge, but it is not. But it is not a good judge. It is Franklin County Common Pleas Court Judge Michael Holbrook. Michael Holbrook, you might remember, was the judge who presided over the William Husel trial, who the attorney for William Husel, Jose Baez, tried to get dismissed from the case. Why did Jose Baez file that paperwork? Because, if you can believe it, and you should believe it because it's true, even though it's incredible, in chambers during that trial, Michael Holbrook, who's supposed to be an objective observer of the facts and somebody who doesn't take an opinion, referred to the people who died under the care of William Husel as not patients but victims, and who jokingly referred in chambers to Dr. Husel, who was acquitted, by the way, correctly. He referred to him as the killer, Dr. Husel. So this is who Michael Holbrook is. Every time he has won re-election, he has won it by a thinner margin, including his last time, when he won it by such a thin margin that he had to be declared the winner by a recount, because the vote margin on the night of the election was less than 300 votes. So here is, just like with the case of the 6-week abortion, 6-week heartbeat bill in Ohio, which was enacted into law by the Ohio General Assembly, the way that we're supposed to go about doing things in government is that if you want something passed into law, you take it to the General Assembly, it goes through, it has a reading, multiple readings, it's voted on by the representatives who are the duly elected reps of the people of the state of Ohio, and then it becomes a law. And then the judiciary can rule on the constitutionality of the law, but it is extremely rare for something that has been enacted into law by the will of the people to be ruled unconstitutional. But that is what Michael Holbrook has done here, because he says the SAFE Act, which prohibits transgender surgeries, and the Save Women's Sports Act, which keeps boys from playing girls' sports, are in the same law. And he says that Ohio's Constitution has a single, kind of you can only do one thing in one law. This is not something that the people who put this bill through the General Assembly were unaware of. This is something that they obviously felt like they had the legal standing to pass, because if they didn't have the legal standing to pass it, they would have separated the two. But here we go again with a law enacted by the people of the state of Ohio through their elected representatives for the good of the citizenry of Ohio. And I know there'll be a freak faction out there who's either misled or has more nefarious goals in mind, who claim that this law protecting kids from their worst inclinations in their completely as yet not fully developed brains, and your brain does not fully develop until age 25. This is a mental illness. It is a sickness. It is a tragedy when a young person thinks they are a different sex than the sex that they are born. But we refuse to learn the lesson from Europe. We refuse to learn the lesson that waiting this out, treating these kids with love, kindness, compassion, but not just affirming what they want to happen. We refuse to learn the lesson from countries in Europe who tried this before us and have had disastrous results with it. And my heart just breaks for these kids, and then my anger ratchets up when I think of organizations like Equality Ohio, American Civil Liberties Union, Kaleidoscope Youth Center, which are actively engaging and drawing more kids into this demonic evil that will ruin their lives. And it disgusts me. It absolutely disgusts me that an elected member of the judiciary in Franklin County, Michael Holbrook, would play into this. So I'm going to ask you to do what I'm going to do, which is I'm going to call Michael Holbrook's office and I'm going to tell him what I think of this abysmal ruling. His number in his courtroom is 614-525-3664. 614-525-3664. Don't be profane. Don't even have to be disrespectful. You can just call and tell him you think this is a horrific ruling. I wish you could vote him out of office, but you can't, because he's locked into his office until age 70, when he will be forced to retire. And I would say that the bench in Franklin County would be the better off for his retirement. But I know that he'll be replaced by a Democrat who would have ruled the exact same way. So what was the difference? What is the difference? If we have a so-called Republican judge who won't rule with common sense, who won't pay attention to the science, who won't follow the will of the people, we have no real alternative here in Columbus. Because when you elect a representative, when you elect in this case, a judge, and the judge acts like a Democrat, we have very little recourse. And it's a depressing thing. I feel terrible for these kids who legislators like Jenna Powell and Gary Click did their absolute best to protect. Our weaselly, missing in action governor, of course, you will remember, vetoed this bill. And it was only through the courage and the sense of doing what is right, not what is convenient, but what is right, did the legislators overrule Mike DeWine's verdict. And now they're being delayed by one activist judge, Michael Holbrook. Call his office. Tell him what you think of this ruling. 614-525-3664. 614-525-3664. Attorney General Dave Yost said, "We will fight vigorously to defend this properly enacted statute which protects our children from irrevocable adult decisions. I am confident this law will be upheld." It's easy to think this is just theory, but it's not just theory. This is impacting real lives right here in Central Ohio. Yesterday, after the show ended, I came across this story regarding a lawsuit against Hilliard City Schools. 9 Hilliard parents say school officials treated one of their children as a member of the opposite sex without parental consent, after the teachers at the school, think about how outrageous this is. The teachers at the school diagnosed the student with gender dysphoria. This lawsuit's filed in the U.S. District Court in the Southern District of Ohio. The teachers then went on to deceive the student's parents by, when they referred to the student to the parents, referring to the student by their correct biological sex and correct name. But at school, the kid had a secret identity foisted upon them by the teachers. I'll say this, I know some really good teachers in the Hilliard District, really good teachers in the Hilliard District who would not be a party to this. Really good teachers who really care about their kids, but the teachers who did this should be fired, should be prosecuted, and should be jailed. What happened to the kid? Their condition spiraled out of control and they attempted suicide. Here's what the lawsuit says. The district's acts were reckless because district officials are not qualified and are specifically denied the right to make diagnosis and treat decisions and treatment decisions for someone else's child. The Hilliard Superintendent Dave Stewart defends the actions of his teachers on this. He wants the lawsuit dismissed. I hope it isn't, and I hope they take millions out of your pocket. Millions. I hope this makes you hurt so bad in the Hilliard district, because the teachers I know are probably insulated from that. I certainly hope. But I hope this sends such a message to the Hilliard district and other districts around the state of Ohio that this will not be tolerated. This is despicable. Teachers who would assert their own phony authority over a child, elevating it above the authority of a parent. Except in cases of abuse, this is always wrong. And yet we have an activist jurist here who will do that. It's so incredibly wrong that teachers and judges do this. We are engaged in a fantasy where we are ruining these kids. We are actively engaging in ruining these kids' lives, all under the guise of kindness and affirmation. We have so many problems in our society today where lack of discipline, lack of consequences, lack of expectations cause much more damage, life-changing damage. And we just
selling a lot of homes.
Dismiss it away. Like,
That's
oh,
right. This is Ross to Georgia.
We're being kind, we're being compassionate, we're being caring. No, you're not. No, you are not.
That's really incredible.
It's just so disgusting. I hate to see kids mistreated this way.
On the market. So if you're thinking about buying or selling, now's the time to pick an experienced real estate company to represent you. Call Ross Realtors 614-599-6100 or online at rossrealtors.com and you'll see a chat button. Let's chat.
Before you buy from someone else, call Ross Realtors.
Here's great news. If you plan on attending Ohio Christian University as a new traditional student this fall semester at the Circleville campus, you can receive a $5,000 tuition scholarship for only $2,500. That's right, get a $5,000 tuition scholarship for only $2,500. One scholarship per student, and all Ohio Christian University admission requirements must be met. Learn more at 989theanswer.com or call RMAT at 614-216-5049.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth, and if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
2 weeks after I had been taken, after I had started taking them, I told the wife, I said, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm 20 years old. Ever since, I just stayed on it. And I'm not the most educated guy, but anyhow, I'm not the dumbest guy in the area. And I do know what they got in there, just reading on it and everything. I'm pleased with it. Anybody I speak to,
So we're going to talk about the Supreme Court yesterday.
Call 1-800-246-1051 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new
What are we going to jump
customer.
into after that?
And for a limited time, get
Oh.
35% off your first order.
Josh Hawley
$10
on
off
Capitol
any
Hill
personal
yesterday,
product with
taking a
free
piece out
shipping
of Jennifer
and or money back
Granholm's
guarantee. Go to
rear end.
BalanceOfNature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code MUSTG.
Well, the lousy weather is back, but hopefully it'll clear by the weekend, and maybe you get a little mulching done, maybe you get a little yard work done. Not if you're hurt, though. If you got pain, chronic pain, arthritis pain, back pain, knee, hip, joint, ooh, it's really, really, really debilitating and not fun. But what is obviously available to you is a free consultation at QC Kinetics, which maybe could get you out of pain without being tethered to medicine forever. Doctor's appointments, they can have a purpose, but it's no fun to go every single week to continue to try medication. And a lot of times the medication takes away the symptoms, but then the symptoms aren't really as bad as the side effects from the medication. You know what really works is allowing your body to heal itself. That's what QC Kinetics is about. They take the platelets out of your body, concentrate them, re-inject them in your body in the areas where you're having pain, and very often the pain goes away. If you'd like to explore this advanced regenerative medicine without surgery and get out of pain, call QC Kinetics 380-208-4544, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. You might have heard there's a little bit of a fascination on the Democratic side of the aisle with January the 6th. Insurrection, insurrection, insurrection. Donald Trump being the supposed fomenter of such activity in Washington, D.C., and you've heard it portrayed and misportrayed. Oh, the police officers who were killed on that date, zero. Nevertheless, January 6th is a very important pillar in the Democratic attempt to keep Donald Trump from getting back into the White House. So it is with much chagrin that Democrats yesterday weighed the tone of some Supreme Court justices' questioning of the U.S. Solicitor General, that is an attorney for the Department of Justice, in front of the Supreme Court as it pertains to a charge levied against many of the January 6th protesters that, well, I'll just let Neil Gorsuch, one of the justices appointed by President Trump, extrapolate out. If you're going to prosecute January 6 protesters for their actions on January the 6th, then why are you not applying the obstruction of justice charge in the same way to other scenarios as outlined by Justice Gorsuch here? That's a shot at Jamal Bowman right there, pulling a firearm alarm before a vote. Now, they didn't bring up the protests across the street from the Supreme Court. They didn't bring up Chuck Schumer saying that Gorsuch and Barrett and Kavanaugh would reap the whirlwind of their actions if they dared to overturn the Roe versus Wade decision. But there are ample examples throughout the country, the mostly peaceful protests, of things that causes supported by Democrats engage in, that causes Democrats would like to do away with, election integrity, all those kinds of things, that could fall under the same umbrella if, and I wonder about this, if we still have equal justice under the law. I mean, Donald Trump is in a New York courtroom today because he supposedly entered hush money payments to Stormy Daniels in the wrong box when it came to bookkeeping prior to the 2016 election. Is that a felony? No, it's a misdemeanor. Did the statute of limitations on it expire? Yes. Was it revived and refabricated and remanufactured into something that it was not by Alvin Bragg to bring it to court and hopefully pin a felony conviction on Trump so that it would impact the 2024 election? Yes. Is that equal justice under the law? No, but they're doing it. So this is going to be very, very interesting, because if this defendant in front of the Supreme Court, who is protesting the application of the obstruction of justice charge to his case, if he wins, and the ruling will come in July, then a bunch of January 6 protesters are going to get out of jail, and a bunch of January 6 protesters are going to have their charges dismissed. And this will be yet another instance of where Democrats have set a trap for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's supporters. And ultimately, the trap as it was set will be proven to be a violation of the standards of jurisprudence in the United States of America. Will Trump get off in New York City? I don't know. They picked like 5 jurors yesterday. But Trump does have an unlikely supporter who shares his opinion of the impropriety of this case against him. Now, you well know that Bill Barr, the Attorney General under Donald Trump, who resigned after January the 6th and who has said a lot of things that were super duper critical of Donald Trump. You know Bill Barr and Donald Trump are not buddies, okay? Trump has said some very denigrating things about Bill Barr. But here's Bill Barr on Fox this morning talking about the Trump trial and whether or not the Trump trial is a fair trial or whether the Trump trial is, politically motivated. He's absolutely right about that, 100%. And I always say Democrats are always doing what they accuse you of doing. So when Joe Biden rails against MAGA extremists, no one has ever been more extreme. No one has ever employed the levers of government to persecute their political enemies and to silence people who have the constitutional right to voice dissent. No one has ever done that more than Joe Biden. No one. The fact that his own son will not comply with a congressional subpoena, the fact that Biden himself will not comply with a congressional subpoena, is proof of the lawlessness in their family and in their administration. Other proof, Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas has been impeached. You may not like it. I'm sure, in fact, you don't like it if you're in the Biden administration cabinet that one of your cabinet officials has been impeached. But he's been impeached according to the procedures and the standards that have been in place since our country was founded. And now that matter is before the Senate, and they are compelled by the Constitution, if they followed it, to hold a hearing on Alejandro Mayorkas and to try him on the articles of impeachment forwarded to the Senate from the House. Is that taking place? No. Will it take place? We don't know. But it's been delayed by a week because Democrats don't want to follow the Constitution. They don't want the charges against Mayorkas given a fair or even a public hearing because they know how poorly it will reflect on the job he's done at the border and the job he's been directed to do on the border by Joe Biden. Again, no equal justice under the law.
So that's all in news. Thomas Thomason. The House has delivered articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas to the Senate. It's now up to the Senate to decide whether there will be an impeachment trial.
Why? Why? Why is it up to the Senate? They're supposed to. They're absolutely required to hold the impeachment.
So far, today is a day off for the court. Jury selection set to resume
Ridiculous.
tomorrow. As Israel mulls its response to last weekend's attack by Iran, a call by Senator Tom Cotton for the U.S. and its allies to get serious about taking out Iranian-backed rebels operating out of Yemen, then attacking shipping in the Persian Gulf. While it's not yet a done deal, Disney has received a key approval to expand its theme park offerings in Anaheim, California. Stocks are in the red on Wall Street this morning. The Dow is down 90 points. The Nasdaq off 67. The S&P 12 points lower. More details at srnnews.com.
Biden has started tracking Christians like cattle. Yes, you heard it right. He pressured banks to tag transactions for certain keywords. One of them is Holy Bible. It's a horrifying and creepy attack on our religious freedoms. It's made possible by a digital financial system that makes you a sitting duck. But you do have other options. I recommend a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. I'm Lance Wallnau, a news analyst, a best-selling author, and evangelical leader to people who cherish their financial independence. A precious metals IRA can help you avoid the scrutiny of Biden's anti-Christian bureaucracy while also preserving your retirement savings.
All right, coming back with an update on the withdrawal from Afghanistan and on an exchange on Capitol Hill yesterday between Josh Hawley and Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm. This is priceless. Priceless!
To the number 989898 right now and take action to protect your...
We are the entertainment you love and information that shapes your day. We are your lifeline. We are your companion. We are broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters. Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions.
Got my haircut so short my hat doesn't fit anymore.
Listen to The Plot Line every Sunday morning at 8 here on 98.9 FM The Answer. The Plot Line describes a main line of resistance in your soul built on God's Word. Join us every Sunday for 30 minutes of inspiration, motivation, education, all without manipulation. That's The Plot Line with Rick Hughes. Sunday mornings at 8, right here on 98.9 FM The Answer. Who are the people that serve part-time in the Ohio Army National Guard? We are your neighbors, co-workers, and friends. We are your sons and daughters, your brothers and sisters. We are the people you see in your community every day. While we serve part-time, we're learning valuable life and job skills that we can use in our civilian careers. We get up to 100% of our tuition paid for at state colleges, so we can have an even better future. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. Through every storm, every flood, every emergency that hits home here in Ohio, we are ready to respond and help our fellow Ohioans recover. We are every city, every small town, and every community. We are your Ohio Army National Guard. Learn more about part-time service with the Ohio Army National Guard at nationalguard.com/OH. Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard, aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station. News, opinion, passion. Here, 98.9 FM, The Answer, anywhere you go. With The Answer's mobile app at 989theanswer.com. Also on your smart speakers, TuneIn, or iHeart.
Hey, a couple of you reached out to me yesterday and asked about patriotswitch.com/Bruce products. Yeah, those 450 products that are shipped right to your home, right to your front door. And let me just tell you, it's an event when you unpack it. You get that mouthwash, that toothpaste, those personal care products that are great for you, great for your family. And you don't have to worry about the ingredients because all the ingredients are plant-based, made from plants right here in the U.S. My kids love the makeup, the acne treatments, they love the deodorant, they love the mouthwash. I love the nutritional products. Their vitamins are phenomenal. How did I get hooked up with this? Well, a friend of my wife's told me about this company that doesn't donate to woke causes. I was looking for someplace. When somebody asked me on the show one day, where do all these causes like Planned Parenthood and the LGBTQ agenda get their money? I said, well, they get them from big corporations. And I told this to my wife, and she goes, no, they get it from you and me, from our money when we buy those products. Fix that in your life by leaving your information so I can contact you and tell you about patriotswitch.com/Bruce, patriotswitch.com/Bruce. So we don't know if the impeachment hearing, the impeachment trial of Alejandro Mayorkas will actually happen or not. We do know that the Democrats will do everything they can. That phrase just keeps coming up, doesn't it? What about gas prices? Oh, we're doing everything we can. What about shutting the border? Well, we're doing everything we can. What about quelling the unrest around the world? Oh, we're doing everything we can with Ukraine and Taiwan and Israel. Doing everything we can. Maybe, but nothing they do works. They're doing everything they can to keep Alejandro Mayorkas from being tried in the Senate. And that one probably will work because they have control in the Senate. And the last thing they want is for the details of the millions of illegal aliens coming across the border to be aired in public. And you can count on one of Joe Biden's chief bootlicks to join Chuck Schumer in blocking the impeachment trial of Alejandro Mayorkas. Gentleman you might have heard of. He's been a career politician, never had a real job. He's running for re-election again, even though he's over 70 years old. It is your Ohio Senator, Sherrod Brown, in an exchange with CNN, saying, oh no, Mayorkas? Impeachment trial? Not necessary. It's a distraction. Why is it a distraction, Sherrod? Well, it's a distraction because, to coin a phrase from Al Gore, it's an inconvenient truth. That you guys have done a horrific job managing the border, and that Americans know it. They see it in the crime statistics. They see it in the jobs report, even though you do your very, very best to hide it in the jobs report. But most of the jobs that you tout, 330,000 jobs, fantastic jobs report. 71,000 in government, 70,000 in healthcare, and more of the jobs to non-citizens than to citizens. Those are not jobs that Mr. and Mrs. America go out and get and provide via one income the financial resources to pay the bills for their family. No, those are part-time jobs, which people have to have 2 or 3 of them to try to make ends meet, never get to spend any time with their family because they're always working, and that is the economy that you have wrought upon the American electorate. But it's okay because it's working out for you, right? It's really working out well for you. One of the people that's really worked out well for is Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm. Remember the famous question to Jennifer Granholm, what is the Granholm plan to get gas prices down? Oh, I saw the Granholm plan. That's a good one. The Granholm plan. I don't have a plan. No, but you know what she does have? She has lots of individual stocks. This caught the attention of Missouri Senator Josh Hawley the other day when Jennifer Granholm was in front of a Senate subcommittee because she's trying to get a big fat budget for her energy department. And Josh Hawley noted, hey, you told us the last time you were here you didn't own any individual stocks. We checked. You own a lot of them. Explain yourself, Jennifer Granholm. Good question. She didn't answer it. She didn't have an answer. I believed I didn't own any. Well, I mean, you know, the old George Costanza line. It's not a lie if you believe it. Jennifer Granholm believed it. wouldn't you, if you were under oath before a Senate subcommittee on something as important as your investment assets, be sure before you would make a blanket statement that you don't own any individual stocks when you are being questioned about people in the Department of Energy owning stocks and that being a corrupt activity? You're the leader of the entire department. You're a cabinet level position. You are giving incorrect information to Congress, but they don't care. They don't care. Why would they care? Why would they care when the guy at the very top of the food chain, the president himself, turns down, refuses an invitation to testify before House Oversight on all the bank records, all the millions, all the things that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, all the documented evidence of them taking millions and millions of dollars from foreign adversaries like China and Russia? When Biden says, no, I'm not coming, I'm not coming, his legal counsel sent a letter to House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer saying, no, we decline the opportunity to come and testify. This is outrageous in that no one in the media is writing about this. No one in broadcasting is talking about this. Do you think the same position would be accorded if Donald Trump were in his second term? Of course not. Absolutely not possible. Now, while Biden is allowed to become a multimillionaire off influence peddling of his name, and his son is allowed to collect bags of cash from around the world using his father's name and influence and presence, either via the phone or in person, at meetings with these oligarchs who are lining the pockets of Hunter Biden and Jim Biden and Joe Biden and like 9 members of the Biden family, including grandchildren. Why are grandchildren from the Bidens getting checks for tens of thousands of dollars from foreign governments? It is outrageous to me that these questions are not asked by anyone in media, and that the president is not made to answer for these questions. But if you are someone who is tied to or linked with Donald Trump, well then your bank accounts can be canceled with no explanation. John Eastman, one of Trump's former attorneys, noticed that all of his bank accounts through Bank of America had been canceled. He called Bank of America. Here's the recording that he got. Business decision. They can close your account for whatever reason they want with no explanation to you at all. If your political affiliation is wrong, if you happen to believe something that they don't believe. This is the next wave of how they come after people. There are only so many physical altercations like January the 6th where they can magnify charges against people as benign as a grandma who goes into the Capitol and prays. A lot of people on January 6th did wrong things, want to arrest them for assault, whatever, fine. But this is the next wave. Bank attacks. Coming back with an update on the NPR editor who wrote the piece exposing the political bias at NPR. And there's another update on him, and it's not a surprising update. And then we're going to get into the chief at NPR and a TED Talk that she gave before she went to NPR, but her worldview is clearly the same. And we're going to talk about her worldview and the worldview that is popular out there. We see it all throughout a lot of the headlines that I've talked about today. So that's what's next as we wrap up hour number 1 of the show. And you can catch hour number 2 on the Bruce Hooley Show Facebook page or on the 989 The Answer Facebook page. You can also catch a replay of hour number 1 if you got in late. Later on today on Rumble. Search my name on Rumble and that'll come up. Trying to keep hour number 2 exclusive to just the station sites. But appreciate you guys joining us, and hope you're dodging the raindrops today, and hope you don't have any serious, severe weather where you are. So thanks for joining us. Appreciate it very much. We'll be out of commercial here very soon.
Don't let your financial concerns about pursuing your dream to attend college hold you back. Visit ohiochristian.edu/payback to learn more. For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Grilling out, big time summer activity. Don't screw it up. No, I'm not talking about the temperature at which you cook the steak. I'm talking about the steak, because if you start with a bad steak, you're not going to get a good steak at the end, no matter how awesome your grilling talents are. It's awesome to get steak that tastes like something you've never tasted before, because we've all had steak and you go, wow, it's a good steak. But this one, what is different about this one? Well, no hormones, no antibiotics ever. Riverbend Ranch steaks, that's what I'm talking about. Riverbend Ranch out west, located Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. Other states too. It's big, it has to be, because it is a ranch. It is not some name they applied to a bunch of growers who bring their meat together and ship it out. That's Good Ranchers, that's Moink, that's Omaha Steaks. No, Riverbend Ranch is a real ranch, and they breed their cattle to exacting specifications to get the best marbling USDA choice in prime. Set up your bundle today, delivered every month or every other month right to your door, dry aged to perfection, flash frozen, and shipped to you. RiverbendRanchSteaks.com/Bruce Hooley, RiverbendRanchSteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. We will talk with Gary Click, member of the Ohio General Assembly, one of the 2 leaders on the SAFE Act, which has been blocked by Franklin County Common Pleas Judge Michael Holbrook. Hopefully you will call Michael Holbrook's office and register your opinion on his ruling. Judge Holbrook has survived 3 election attempts. The last one by the thinnest of margins. He won on a recount. Typically, I would rejoice when a Republican judge gets reelected, but Michael Holbrook is a failure as a jurist, as someone who is charged with applying the law fairly. When you refer to a defendant in a court case as the killer, you have lost your judicial center. I don't care if you did it to introduce humor. That's at the very best characterization, gallows humor. You know how I know Michael Holbrook is a bad judge? Because the Dispatch wrote a glowing profile of him. And for the Dispatch to write a glowing profile of him tells you that he's in their pocket and he's doing their bidding. And he definitely did their bidding on delaying the implementation of House Bill 68, which would keep kids from genetic or from gender mutilation surgeries and from taking puberty blockers that would dramatically and forever alter the body's chemical composition. Now, we see evidence of this lack of journalistic integrity and lack of and choosing sides in media all the time. Here's an update on Uri Berliner, the NPR editor for 25 years, who wrote a scathing exposure of NPR and how biased it is in its reporting in the Free Press, an independent news site, last week. He was then suspended 5 days for his trouble for being an actual journalist, and now he has resigned his position. That is the news of the day. Uri Berliner has said in a post on X that his career at NPR is over. I'm resigning from NPR, a great American institution where I've worked for 25 years. I don't support calls to defund NPR. I respect the integrity of my colleagues and wish for NPR to thrive and do more important journalism, but I cannot work in a newsroom where I am disparaged by the new CEO whose diverse views confirm the very problems at NPR that I cited in my Free Press essay. He's right. Catherine Mayer is the new head of NPR. If NPR is defunded, I will celebrate. I will dance on the professional graves of everyone who works there, just like I long for the day when the Columbus Dispatch goes under as an enterprise. I have friends who work there who are not agenda-driven, who work in sports. I will feel bad for them. But for the good of our community, for the good of journalism, bad journalism needs to rot and burn. And the Columbus Dispatch is bad journalism most of the time. Reporters like Haley B. Miller, Anna Staver, Amelia Robinson, Colin Gay, disasters. Disasters. Enemies of truth. And that is definitely what Catherine Mayer is at NPR. This is a talk she gave when she was the head of Wikipedia. It is a talk about truth. Listen to how Catherine Mayer says truth comes to light and how truth is determined in our culture. This is now someone who is funded to the tune of $500 million through essential taxpayer contributions at NPR. We're paying for this woke nonsense. Wrong.
Might be a distraction that's getting in the way of finding common ground and getting things done.
Wrong.
Now, that is not to say that the truth doesn't exist. nor is it to say that the truth isn't important. Clearly, the search for the truth has led us to do great things, to learn great things. But I think if I were to really ask you to think about this, one of the things that we could all acknowledge is that part of the reason we have such glorious chronicles to the human experience in all forms of culture is because we acknowledge there are many different truths.
Nope.
And so in the spirit of that, I'm certain that the truth exists for you, and probably for the person sitting next to you. But this may not be the same truth. Many people, what happens when we merge facts about the world with our beliefs about the world?
Nope.
So we all have different truths. They're based on things like where we come from, how we were raised, and how other people perceive us.
She could not be more wrong, and that could not be a more pernicious view of truth. Our reverence for the truth gets in the way of getting things done. No. No, no, and no. Truth is the merging of facts and belief. No. Wrong. 1,000% wrong. These people who have positions of authority, who order other people around under them to shape opinion, must be committed to where the truth is and whatever path leads to it. And your feelings about it, your upbringing, your lived experience, whatever you want to say, has nothing to do with truth. Truth is not a piece of clay. You don't get to mold it the way you want it. You don't get to shape it how you want it to come out for your benefit and the detriment of others. No. Truth is impervious to feelings. Truth is impervious to your adjectives. I've said many times, the word justice, if you stick an adjective with it, social justice, climate justice, then it's not justice. Truth is where facts and common sense and logic meet, not where your feelings are. Her view is warned against in the Bible. There is a way that seems right to a man, but in the end it leads to death.
Blood pressure, you're going to want to hear this. I was introduced to an all-natural juice drink formulated by a gentleman who suffers from high blood pressure. He created something called
Okay, that's hour number one. Hope to hear, you can leave me a message on social media. You can leave a comment on Facebook. Appreciate you guys joining us. Confidentially not having the greatest chemotherapy day today, so a little off in my energy. I apologize for that. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.